Hey Book Dragons, welcome back to my channel. It's time for a book review. Let's go! Thank you to my patrons. I really appreciate all you do to support the channel. I recently finished The Road by Cormac McCarthy, and I'm going to share my thoughts on it with you today. But before I do, make sure that you like and subscribe to my channel. Join my Discord if you haven't already and you want to discuss things more with me there. And let's go ahead and get right to the review, guys. The Road was my patron pick for the final quarter of 2022. And if you're a subscriber to my Patreon, you know that one of the tiers offers you the perk of being put on a wheel to pick a book for me to read each quarter. So if your name gets picked, you get to pick a book for me to read that quarter. The patron that won for this quarter told me I needed to read The Road, and it is a book that I have been wanting to read for a while. I've heard good things about it. Cormac McCarthy seems to be a very popular and successful author, so I was very glad to give it a shot. I did read it on audiobook, and that was recommended to me because of the particular writing style that Cormac McCarthy utilizes. They felt that it would be a better experience on audiobook. And I have to say, I am very glad that I did the audiobook because Cormac McCarthy has a very stream of consciousness style of writing that is not given to punctuation really at all. And so having an audiobook narrator who knows how to read it and use the punctuation that isn't there in the text is very helpful. I'll put it that way. So, what's the book about? It takes place in a post-apocalyptic modern day. It follows a man and his son, or at least we're given to understand that he's probably the man's son. He calls him Papa and Dad and stuff like that during the story. So while it's not expressly said that he's his son, it feels like they are family as opposed to two people who just met on the road and the man decided to care for him. So I'm going under the assumption that he is his son. And they are walking from place to place, trying to find food and shelter and places to sleep for the night. And we are not expressly told what kind of apocalyptic event happened. It may have been a disease that wiped out the majority of the human population, or it may have been starvation. Maybe the food supplies or the sources of food died, or maybe the water was poisoned. We don't know. It's not really clear. So it feels very Walking Dead-ish, even though there's no zombies. But it just feels like that kind of setting, you know, where they're just out in the wilderness, moving from place to place and trying to survive. So it's a very survivalist type of mentality that this book is founded on. And all in all, you would think that that would make for quite an interesting story. It didn't really. The atmosphere, I will say, was very, very visceral. The descriptions that Cormac McCarthy wrote into the book for the atmosphere was very vivid and immersive. I really liked the atmosphere. And to be honest with you, the atmosphere, in my personal opinion, is the main character of this story. Because the character development in this story for the man and his son is atrocious. That's an unpopular opinion, I'm sure. I am a character-driven reader. If I can't resonate with the characters, there's a good chance that the book is not going to do anything for me. I could not connect to these characters. For most of the book, with a few exceptions, I felt nothing. And I am a very emotional, sensitive type of guy. I really, really get immersed in my characters. And I could not do that with these characters. Like I said, there were a couple of exceptions. There was one scene in the book where they've been going without food and sustenance for long periods of time in the story, and then all of a sudden they find this big stash of canned food, and they're finally able to eat and satiate themselves. And the emotion that builds up in that scene, especially with the dad, but also with the son as well, and how much they enjoy the meal. I mean, you really feel that, and I did really resonate with the characters in that moment. And then also at the end of the book, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes, but the end of the book clicked with me pretty well as well. Not real well, but it clicked with me. Those moments made me feel for the characters, but on the whole, the characters did nothing for me. The dialogue also was pretty atrocious, if I'm being honest. The dialogue mainly consisted of back and forth between the dad and the son of, like, are we going to die, Papa? We're not going to die. And I'm scared, Papa. It'll be okay. We're going to be all right. Don't worry. I'm not going to let anything happen to us. And that type of dialogue was repeated over and over and over again, pretty much the exact same way throughout the entire book. The son would say he's scared, and it's going to be okay. We'll be all right. We're not going to die. And I think we're going to die, Papa. We're not going to die. And he would get more forceful about it, And there were times that the dad was just downright mean to the kid. And I get it's an post-apocalyptic world. Stresses are high. We're trying to survive. We're trying to avoid people that might do us harm and try to beat us up and take what little supplies we have. So yeah, the dad is stressed, but I felt so many times during the story just saying like, okay, dude, get a grip. Be nice to your kid. He's just as upset as you are. I don't know, it was the characters felt very wooden and dry and one-dimensional to me. There was the ending of the book especially where I really had some strong feelings and I was starting to tear up and stuff like that, and especially the way it affected the boy at the end of the story really had me in the feels. But the duration of the impact on the boy was like there and gone, and I was kind of left going, what the hell? I mean, that's it? I won't spoil it. Because if you're planning on reading it, I don't want to spoil the ending. But if you know the ending and what I'm talking about, you'll probably understand why I felt like it was very abrupt and didn't really make a whole lot of sense. I recently did a video where I talked about my ranking system for books. And the second to lowest tier is snooze. And that's, if you bore a dragon, that can't be a good thing. And that's really how I felt. It was a snooze fest for me for most of the book. I was bored. I'm probably not going to read anything more from Cormac McCarthy. I definitely won't read The Road again. It's very, very likely that I probably won't read anything else he's written. He just doesn't seem like an author that's for me. Am I sorry that I didn't DNF it? Kind of. I mean, I'm glad I read it. I feel a sense of accomplishment for reading it, but I feel like my time could have been better spent if I had read something else. The audiobook was only 7 hours long. It's not that bad. I listened to it in the car when I was going different places. It's not like I wasn't being productive outside of reading the book. I listened to it a little bit while cleaning as well. So I know how well loved Cormac McCarthy is among a lot of people. While there are some naysayers for his work, I think from what I have heard, the majority of people really like him. I'm very sad in that sense to be saying the things I'm saying because he's well loved, and I would never disparage the guy. I mean, he's obviously a very popular and very successful author, and his writing resonates with other people. It just didn't work for me. So take that for what you will. Take it with a grain of salt. It's just my personal opinion. I want people to love his books. I really do. And I just happen to be one of those that didn't. And that's okay, right? And if you love Cormac McCarthy's books, if you're a big fan, I think that is awesome. And I applaud you and I appreciate it. What doesn't work for one person works for other people. And I'm really happy about that. That's the beauty of individuality, right? We all enjoy different things in our books. So I've gone on long enough talking about that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you read The Road before? Or has it been on your list? Maybe you haven't read it yet and you've been kind of on the fence. Let me know what your thoughts are after seeing this review. And maybe you're like me. A lot of times when I see a negative review, I still decide, well, I'm going to give the book a try and see for myself. And you should. I definitely think that is a good practice. I hope that you enjoyed the review. Again, chat with me here in the comments or on Discord if you want to fire up a conversation there. And until next time, guys, make sure you're reading more books. I'll talk to you soon.